Okay, so let's talk about how we can construct arguments with multiple lines of reasoning. Because there are some obvious advantages to doing so, right? The more lines of reasoning that you have converging upon or supporting your conclusion, the more stable your argument is. Because in order to defeat that argument, someone has to find something wrong with each and every line of reasoning. So it's generally, there's power, there's strength in numbers here. So let's return to the argument that we've been developing through all of these chapters. The question that we have in mind is doing philosophy worth our time? And our answer is obviously the correct answer. Yes, it is. It's worth our time. So let's think about the argument that we've constructed up until now. The conclusion, doing philosophy is worth our time because if something develops our reasoning skills, then it's worth our time. And philosophy does develop our reasoning skills because philosophy requires us to critically evaluate virtually every position asserted. How can we come up with another line of reasoning for the same conclusion? The key here is to go back to thinking about themes. Remember, different lines of reasoning will have their own unique theme. So identify the theme of this line of reasoning, of the existing line of reasoning. Pro tip, it is not going to be the doing philosophy being worth our time theme because that's the ultimate conclusion. Anything that is like that is going to be, of course, part of the argument because any line of reasoning is going to be connected to the ultimate conclusion. Instead, think about what is the particular lens through which we are looking when we argue that doing philosophy is worth our time for these reasons, right? What's the theme? Pause the video, think about that, and come back when you're ready. Okay, what did you decide? Well, it looks to me like the important part of this left-hand line of reasoning has to do with developed reasoning skills. It's the reasoning skills are important kind of thing. So this new line of reasoning should not have to do with developing reasoning skills. It should be another way of thinking about philosophy. So I want you to think about that for a minute. Pause the video and ask yourself, what's another kind of reason to think that doing philosophy is worth your time that doesn't have anything really to do with developing good reasoning skills, right? So pause the video, think about that, and come back when you're ready. Okay, I mean, there's lots of them, but here's one. We might say that philosophy is fun. I think it is. I mean, I really like thinking about things like the existence of God and what counts as knowledge and what makes things right and wrong and do we have free will and what's the meaning of life. I mean, there's honestly nothing I would rather do than sit around and thinking about those kinds of questions. So philosophy is fun is the nub of another line of reasoning for this conclusion. Now it's a nub, right? Because the existing line of reasoning, or the left-hand side of reasoning, has three claims. This poor little right-hand line of reasoning just has one. That means that if we write this argument now, which we can do, we have to take great pains to ensure that our reader can distinguish between those lines of reasoning, because there will be a natural psychological tendency to just collapse the teeny line of reasoning into the bigger one. It's like the bigger one has this gravitational force. So there's a number of ways to do that. We could be really overt. We could say, doing philosophy is worth our time. There are two ways to see this. First, and then express this line of reasoning. Second, philosophy is fun. We could do that. We could also put the ultimate conclusion in between. We could say, philosophy requires us to critically evaluate virtually every position asserted, so it's an effective way to develop good reasoning skills. Clearly, if something develops good reasoning skills, it's worth our time, from which it follows that philosophy is worth our time. In addition, philosophy is fun, right? Just kind of splitting there. So there's a number of ways you can do it, but you really need to do it. You really need to help your reader here to see that there are more than one, there's more than one line of reasoning. Okay, very good. The key takeaway is when you're coming up with an argument of your own and you want multiple lines of reasoning, the easiest way to do that is identify the theme of your existing line of reasoning and come up with another way of getting to the conclusion, another theme. Very good. Thanks. Bye-bye.